A Wednesday,
Can we have
they get a,
Tonight?
okay, we get a
Whatever you want.
full list of
I don't have it.
what's being proposed, and that's subject to change up until the end. We're talking about, removing properties from the in-remember list, so, want me to call it to order?
Thank you.
Right.
Only because we don't have a time.
All right, the Ways and Means Committee is called to order. Properties. What's the trouble with wearing two hats?
That's 3 out of the 4.
3 out of the 4 parcels here?
Yeah.
I also have color photos.
Of what you're pulling?
White of the other.
Oh, wow.
No extra charge.
Of the ones you're pulling, Kim, picture them? Is that?
Yes.
They're proposing to pull, okay. Let's do the first 3. 567, 568, 569.
Do we have the answers?
Yeah.
Another sheet.
That was the list of-
107 to 111 Smith Street.
Yep. Used to be Joe Ray Signs.
Is that place ready to fall down?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
So, and the reason for removing it? The reason for removing it? It's a liability?
You'll see the list of codes on there attached to the pictures.
Yeah,
One of them
it's a
is
liability?
Yeah,
Is that why we're removing
the
it?
3 in Herkimer is the Jill Ray building. You can see the sky through one of them. There's a vacant lot, and there are 2 buildings next to each other with a common wall between them. You can see the sky. The roof has completely caved in on one. There's a sign on it. You can see the photograph says demolition in progress or something like that. It's being demolished by the elements, apparently. And on the good building, the brick facade is peeling off on the west side of it. You know, the bricks have fallen down the driveway and they've piled them up. We talked with Kim's office about taking maybe 1 or 2 of the lots and not all of them, but Charlie and I took a drive there on Friday morning, and we think it's very risky to take any of it. We think if you touch the one that's demolishing itself, you're likely to tear the other one down with it.
If you auction them to be sold as one parcel, or can you do it that way?
No, if you auction it to be sold as one parcel, you will not sell any parcel, and you will be owning it and tearing it down. Is my prediction.
So you're saying we're gonna avoid taking title to this?
Our
It's gonna go into limbo?
Going into limbo. And I'll talk to you about limbo, if you want to talk about both parcels, and then we'll talk about what the limbo can be.
Okay.
Dennis, so we have been holding the schools and the village and the town harmless on this property at this point.
Correct.
So when we no longer take this, that stops, right?
Well, that's the limbo. That's the
Oh, okay, I got the
question. I'll give you
limbo.
a couple of options that you can decide on exactly what you want to do. If you agree with the recommendation that it's 4 parcels, 3 are really 2 pieces, but and the other one is in Newport, which is the school building, and that photo is going around also, along with a list of codes violations. It was purchased in 2006 for $10,000. Which shows you low price, and if you look at the school itself, it's in very dilapidated condition and has very substantial codes violations, unfit for human habitation, something in there about infestation. So we're also recommending that you not take title to that. Remember, if you would have liability in excess of what you might stand to recover at the auction, the law allows you to not take title to it. And that's the process that the legislature has been following now for 8 or 10 years.
Have all of these, the properties you've talked to thus far, are only 3 years in arrears? Is that true?
I'd have to check, yes, the only way it'd be more than 3 in arrears or 2 in arrears plus the current year would be if a parcel's been in bankruptcy court, and then sometimes we get stopped and have to hold off. But I think both of these are just the 2 prior years plus the current taxes.
Were the town county taxes January 1st paid on these? To the town?
By us? I don't know. When do we reimburse the towns?
Just did that, probably within the last.
Kim indicates yes.
Did we reimburse them?
I can double check for you.
How do we stop reimbursing them for these?
By withdrawing them and issuing a certificate, the clerk, or the treasurer's office issues a certificate that stops the further incurring of taxes, takes it off the roll.
Makes them exempt.
makes them exempt.
Okay.
And that's where I want to get into options. The only way to get these parcels, and what we've used in the recent past, back into use again, is if the localities are willing to work with the county. If the villages in these cases, and sometimes the towns, are willing to take title to them, and hold the county harmless. And then the village can perhaps find a buyer or get some way of demolishing them and that sort of thing. We've just done that, of course, with, I think Village of Mohawk and Town of, I think it was Village of Mohawk.
Yeah.
Just came in with a cooperative agreement
Right.
at the last meeting.
You're right.
And so that's always a possibility. There's nothing on the horizon that we know of. If we completely take it off and cancel it, it would be another 2 years before we'd be in a position to take title. So the villages would be not able to do anything, at least with us, through us, for 2 years.
Why is that, Rob? Why 2 years?
Because we have to start the in-rem process all over again. You know, we've gone through the whole in-rem process. It takes, it's about an 18-month process, quite frankly, start to finish, and then we take title. So, if you wanted to put these in limbo and not take them off the list, not cancel the taxes right now, you could do that. You'd have to keep reimbursing the localities though, while you give the villages some time to work it out. Or you just pull them off and in 2 years' time, see what the villages can do.
Do we know how much money it is we're talking that we reimburse?
I don't have that.
I don't think I can get it.
I don't think it's much, because they're
Pretty bad
both
shape.
in terrible shape.
I'll make a motion to withdraw the 4 properties and make them exempt, stop reimbursing the school and town and villages.
I'll second that.
Now, with this limbo thing, so how you can, so it goes into exempt, nobody can collect?
Correct.
Is it?
That's what the motion is. No one will collect any taxes on it.
We
School-
won't
the
say
school, the
harmless.
village, or the town. will
We
not-
still have our existing lien.
Right.
And remember, there's a further step you could take of canceling a tax lien and charging back the localities to claw back any taxes we have previously reimbursed. We're not going there yet. We're just saying we're gonna put it in limbo, we'll stop it.
So Rob, who technically owns it? Who, I mean, if the county doesn't take title
Whoever owns
to
it now still is gonna own
it,
it.
it's the, so Roy, so yeah.
Next
okay.
week.
So if a little kid walks by and a building falls down, and we're not liable?
No, we have no ownership or liability whatsoever.
That's why we're not gonna take title to it.
Do they continue to get tax bills?
No.
She
It'll go
doesn't
on the
mind
exempt.
living in it the way it is,
So
she'll
she
probably
owns
stay there till
and
it falls
it's
down
tax
around her.
exempt, she or they.
Correct. It's really up to the
But if
localities.
those owners were to find a buyer that had some big idea of coming in there and establishing a business, the lien still exists. The
Correct.
county.
Correct. We are not canceling our existing lien. We're just not gonna let any
Does
further
it accrue,
taxes.
does anything accrue on to it, Rob?
I think we get some interest, I'm not sure.
Oh, so that, so it doesn't go right back to the tax, same tax rate then? It doesn't add another year's tax
No.
on it?
No.
It just stops it, we're
It
at,
stops being a tax generator.
right, tax
Stop-
generated, okay.
Stop piling up tax bills.
It's just tax,
What's there will stay.
generating
If
interest. is
this
what it
motion, if this motion goes forward, and, let's hypothetically say the village was interested in working with us on it, how, that's the 18 months that it takes to do it? Or,
Possibly. There's another way too, which is the village can work with the property owner. And that's happened too. Village go directly to the property owner and they work something out and then they approach the county to cancel the lien at that point. So allows the deal to go forward. We've worked with villages that way too.
but if you have an unwilling property owner, we could have a relationship between the village and the county, but it takes 18 months.
We would have to start over on our in-round, correct.
Okay.
And it's not unreasonable. Sometimes it takes 2 years to line something like that up. So what you're doing here is traditionally what you've been doing. It's no change from the process we've been following for several years.
So that says 4 parcels, is what we're talking about.
Yes,
And they're going on the limbo list, and they will not, we won't be paying any more taxes out to school districts, towns, or villages.
correct.
If the legal term,
They'll be withdrawn. They're gonna be withdrawn.
And-
There's-
But we've also paid them for the last 2 years, anyway.
Yes, we have.
Minimum of the last 2 years, but maybe even longer.
Yes.
but the term that Bruce used was exempt, is that what happens, the property becomes exempt, is that a?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, I think it does.
It's not any, there's no greater accrual of taxes on it.
Correct.
Right.
People still get a tax bill and it says 0 on it.
Yeah.
But if they were to sell it, they'd have to,
Our
Pay the
lien,
lien.
our existing lien still sits there.
now, can they occupy that, Rob?
You know, that's up to the villages,
I mean, I don't know.
whether it's,
It's up to codes.
whether it's habitable or not, it's local codes enforcement, as well as the cleanup.
They're living there now.
I was just gonna say, they're living there now,
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Auction date, terms,
June second at, college.
Motion.
second.
Mr. Chairman, who seconded that?
I did.
Third nine guys.
Is it quick?
Okay, you got a motion, and a second?
Jimmy and Bernie.
Okay,
What time?
and,
Tim, what time, Jim?
Usually starts at 10. Might last a little
I'll
longer than
second.
Sharon, because the
I
numbers
second
are.
it.
How many,
I got Ray.
me and Ray Ford,
Yeah.
Kim, how many parcels is it total?
Well, there's been a few removed, so I'll get a final number for you tomorrow and let you know.
Over 100?
We'll have a list. Jim's gonna do the list, right? And that'll be what you sent out.
and there's possibility that could be, you could be coming back to us asking us to take more off is between now and then.
11th hour.
I got it. I'd be surprised if something doesn't come up.
All right, but if we could have a list for Wednesday of what you do have, okay? I think there's interest in the legislature for that list.
Yeah, you're gonna have a final list on Wednesday, it could change in the future, but you will be voting on taking the parcels on the list on Wednesday.
Right,
It's on for a vote.
understood?
With the proviso that it can be adjusted up until, what is the day before the,
No.
what
Oh.
happened?
I hope not.
Legislature has the power to take whatever action it wants to.
Up until the time of sale.
Yes, up
9
until
o'clock and,
up until we auction them.
I got one other.
But we're into the in the past, if we were in this situation, that was the practice has been 3 times the,
Once we take
That's been the
title,
practice.
the practice in the past few years, that's been the practice, yes. People have come and asked the legislature to allow them to be allowed to pay 3 times their taxes, and then you have decided whether to deed it back to them under those terms, on a case-by-case basis.
Case by case.
Not a
Right.
set policy,
prior to the sale.
but a practice, correct.
Other, Jimmy, go ahead.
You
Well, hold it, do you need a vote on this one?
Sure.
Yes,
All those
absolutely.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Jimmy.
I already wrote it down.
In regard to exempt properties, I've got a property in our town. Town of Schuyler is willing to take ownership over it. It's the Lazaro property. We've been through this, I think, before. It's an old gas station right on the western end of town, right in the Utica line on Route 5. It's the old Lou Lazaro, the race car driver. It's a small piece of property, maybe 100 by 100, and I'm guessing herein lies the problem. The town was approached by an individual wanting to buy it, actually a couple individuals in the past. Currently, they have somebody interested. I believe last year or 2 years ago, it was cleaned up by the DEC. To what level, I don't know. They went in there, they took the tanks out and dug a big hole, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's 100% or good to go. I would say no, because no one's ever approached it. Herein lies the problem. The owner is deceased. The estate can't be found. There's 4 kids, and the one kid that they did find doesn't want anything to do with it, doesn't want to sign off on anything. This is really a limbo. How does the town, or how do we get this back on the tax roll?
Was it exempt before because of pollution?
We
pulled it out of the
pulled it
in-rem?
long time ago.
Chose not to take it.
Yeah, guy's parking his semi on there now.
I
Yeah,
mean,
he's parking his semi,
If
getting
the,
complaints about
if the
that.
town of
I know.
Schuyler were to give the county assurances that they would be the lead agency, and that certificate from DEC were to be furnished to us with the auspices of the town of Schuyler, okay, that's desirous of this happening, then we could,
But there's an estate that doesn't want anything. How do you?
Force it.
Can you quit claiming?
Yeah, our attorney.
Attorney.
From the
If
one.
the town of Schuyler is interested in taking title to the parcel, we have to put it back through the interim, which starts in the fall. So 2 years from now, we'd be in position to take title to it. And sometime between now and then, the town could approach the county and make the same deal that Village of Mohawk just did. They take title to it, we take title, they agree to take it from us, they hold us harmless. They adopt a resolution, we adopt a resolution, and we take it and turn it over to them.
Can one of the kids come back and say, it was entitled to me, or whatever? I'm just,
No, if they haven't paid the taxes, we can foreclose on the taxes.
I'll go back to the town.
But if you take what he just said and apply the properties on the 3 pieces of property, you said something about the family, the young man, whoever this family is in the gas station, could approach the town to try to negotiate something, isn't that what you said could happen in Smith?
These are 2 different situations, so entirely different.
It is.
I mean,
or it
theirs
isn't,
has
Rob,
already
because
become
like
exempt.
Jim said that, you told Jim that it's already went into limbo for years. So technically, we never touched it, the county never touched it again.
Yeah.
So now it should
And
be.
I completely understood what I was talking about till a minute ago.
No, but really.
Right out of my head.
No, but technically, one of the kids that Jim was talking about could come back and talk to Skylar and make a deal with him.
Rob, what I was trying to say is, you said on the property,
But Jim's saying they won't.
He doesn't want to
Total
give it up.
They can't, the
Oh.
other 3 can't be found.
That's the
The one
difference.
that there is,
I know what they-
at one time said he didn't want anything to do, he didn't want to sign off, he didn't want any responsibility, he wanted,
yeah, but you just said that maybe he would come back now. The point I was trying to ask of Rob, the point I was trying to ask is that
You got a headache.
Jim said, maybe, what if the kid came back? If we moved forward on the Smith Street property, and it was in limbo, I mean, it became exempt, at some point, I thought you said, if the village wanted it, the family and the village, the owners in the village could have communication. So that technically could apply if the kid ever came forward and wanted to, we could have the conversation and move it faster than us taking it back and then rent.
Absolutely. We stay out of the loop.
Fourth kids.
now it's been clean.
Only because I've been through this
Yeah.
before. It did
Jim, I
work.
remember
forgot
when
where the hell it was.
I remember
West
when I was
Winfield.
up, they didn't do that.
Pike and leather tannery.
The problem, it
The
wasn't,
attorney chased the,
Right.
it wasn't
The
clean
heirs.
before, and that's why the kids walked away from it.
Right.
Now,
But if
I don't
you-
know to what level it's clean.
that's what I was gonna say, Jim, we got those
It
2
might be worth
options. You
something.
got the 4 kids signing off, trying to work out a deal with Skylar. Skylar then approaches the county, Rob, on the taxes.
Let Skylar do the
We
legwork.
cancel our lien,
What if you can't find
and then
it?
the other thing, we take the part.
We start the interim
And those are the
again.
2 options I see,
Our next interim, we roll with this piece, it's still,
with a contract
taxes
with
are still
Skylar.
unpaid, we
I'll
can
relay
foreclose.
that to the town.
Right, at least you give them 2 options, Jim.
Jim,
Jimmy, one thing
Jim.
you have to be careful of though.
the fella, the one son,
Son.
okay, does he live on Brown Road? Because that was, Louis Lazaro was Muggs Lazaro, we named him that a long time
Mike.
ago. He's got, yes,
Might be.
he lives on Brown Road.
Somebody said he's local here,
Lives on Brown Road, he's got his father's stock car on the side of his house. Is he the
apparently-
one?
Apparently, he's the one that doesn't want anything to do with this, but now, like I said, it's clean. Who the heck knows if he wants to come back and claim it?
Take some money from him.
Because he worked down there with his dad on that stock car.
The estate,
Yeah, they're the owners.
and for good or for bad, Jim, he owns it.
It's
Oh, no,
not-
I'm just saying,
I
maybe he thinks he's out of sight, out of mind, but no, he's not. The estate owns the property.
So it's all four of them for you.
my
So
point
his-
is,
so-
if
so
you can
his-
work something to get out of it.
Yes.
and
Jim,
house
They really
it.
want.
so his son still owns the property?
Four
now?
of them.
Right, the 4 of them.
The 4 of them.
So I think it would
Pretty
be
sure
better
there's,
for them to sign
I want
off.
the.
But it's got liens
I'm
on
sure
it,
there's
big
I
liens.
mean, sometimes people don't think of that, but
Especially if the town said, we'll hold your
Her
arms.
father was a
Oh, heck
we
yeah,
named
wash
him
your hands.
Muggs
Yeah.
Lazaro, Louis Lazaro.
We'll protect you if you need to, we hold your arms.
Because Rob, I remember that being cleaned up, they didn't spend much time in there.
It's my duty to become an
Do they
officer.
lien it? Does DEC, when they clean it up, lien it too?
So they
Sometimes.
can't try to petition me
Yeah.
to become
Frequently they do.
voluntary administrator.
And when you take it in NREM, that gets, those liens go away.
We cut them
So
off. We
someone's
serve
gonna
them,
have to step up.
we serve them with process and cut them
Releasing
off.
it.
And so if they cleaned it after we turned it back exempt, that's a new lien. You probably would have to take it and,
Would it be appropriate for Jimmy to tell Town of Schuyler to have their attorney
Yeah.
talk to you, Rob?
I think that's in
Sure.
order. This way,
Yeah, be glad to do that. All
absolutely.
right, call me.
You know,
they really wanna get it cleaned
Yeah,
up.
you get a third
They can
hand
get 2 or 3
sometimes.
people interested and,
Yeah.
We got problems.
it's ready.
When you get that trailer park right in back there, it makes it look like an eyesore.
Yeah, we'll guide them through the process.
And I think we're open to any municipality wanting to discuss this stuff.
We always have.
I mean, I think as soon as we can get out from underneath it, reimbursing taxes, we should. It's not fair to anybody for us to be carrying something on the rolls that isn't generating any revenue and yet holding the school district and the towns and the village harmless. I think after 2 years, it's either pulled and removed and we stop paying, or it's auctioned off, one or the other.
Kim, you could tell me this, are we paying taxes on that land? Because you said after 2 years, it goes back, we have to pay
Which
taxes.
one, the Skylar?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we haven't paid.
It's exempt.
We
Oh,
pulled
it's
it off.
off 3 years.
I'll call the DC, I gave the number to the town for the DC to check
Is
the
there
status.
any,
I'll call myself just to,
I think I may have asked this question before, and maybe it was a workload issue, and if I didn't, I thought of it and didn't ask it. Is there any way, let's say property is 2 years lax. Do we know that when it's 2 years back, it generally goes to the third, or do we see an awful lot redeemed come the third? Because I wonder if it wouldn't be worth us looking at property and saying, you know what? We ought to make a motion right now, not that we're never gonna take this because it's bad. I mean, if there's somebody's driving around with a camera and you look at something, you see how bad it is and it's 2 years back. We're really sending a lot of money down the pike that we may never be taking if they're,
Can we do anything though until we get the property
I
from the judge?
think we're moving about as quickly as we can.
we can,
Yeah,
we
I
have to
mean-
go to 3.
Once that judge turns the land over, then we can do that, right? Correct?
You can't do it until then, okay.
Well, I just wanna make sure, that was my understanding.
I'm not positive, I wanna look for an answer.
Not sure.
It's a good question.
Anything else for properties?
No,
Motion adjourned,
motion adjourned.
second?
I mean,
bring him out.
Yep.